In my last video, I created a chest set from scratch, and now I'm going to build a storage box to keep the chest pieces in. I got some ideas from some other YouTubers on how to make this thing, so hopefully I do them justice and I give you some ideas at the same time. So here we go. When I was researching ideas for how I wanted to build this storage box, I first checked on some of the online sites that sell luxury chest pieces and chest sets, and they provide storage boxes. But I wasn't a big fan because they were just a box, kind of plain Jane, and you just threw the chest pieces in there or whatnot, and I didn't like that. So I come up with the idea of maybe cutting out some pockets in foam in the shape of each chest piece to hold them securely and make them look nice. So I found this foam on Amazon and drew it up on Vcarve and just cut out a simple pocket to keep the chest pieces in. Now they didn't cut out very cleanly, as you can tell. There's all these frayed edges everywhere, and I picked off the bulk of them, but then I discovered that a heat gun makes quick work of all of it. It even tightened up the pockets, made them a little shiny, cleaned them up real nice. Man, would you look at that? That looks store-bought, don't it? Step 2 of this project was to build trays for the foam inserts to go into. And I had this idea to build them out of ply. So I bought some 1/8" ply off Amazon and went over to my buddy Mike's house. You remember Mike, the bald-headed guy. He's got a really nice laser, and he offered to cut these out for me. So off to Mike's I go. We cut them out. I bring them back and put them together, but I just don't like them. Just looking at them up close, I don't like the finger joints and I don't like the way the ply looks. So I had this idea of buying some veneer that matched the mahogany of the box I was going to make, and I decided to wrap them in veneer. But guess what? I didn't like that either. The veneer, though nice, just doesn't wrap well around tight corners, and it cracked at the top and corners, and I just didn't like it. So I abandoned that, but we'll come back to the trays. So for the actual storage box, I decided to build it out of sapelli mahogany and black lumber. So I took the lumber over to my buddy Jeremy's house, who has a brand spanking new bandsaw, and he let me resaw the wood down into smaller, thinner sheets so that I could make the panels to cut out each side of the box. My idea was to laminate the black lumber onto each piece of the sapelli to kind of give it a two-tone look. After the glue dried on the panels, I put them on the CNC machine to do a light surfacing of each side, just to make sure they were nice and level and parallel with each other on each side. Then after that was completed, I did a profile pass to actually cut out the ending dimensions of the panels that I was going to use on the box. Now, I mentioned earlier that I got some ideas on how I wanted to build this box from a couple of the YouTubers that I found pretty darn clever. One of those ideas was to carve a diamond pattern into the sides of the box, and I did this by using a 90-degree V-bit. Now, I got the idea to do the diamond pattern from Blake Weber, the Weber Woodshop here on YouTube. Please check him out. He does some of the most beautiful stuff I've ever seen, and I know you'll like him too. Now, the second idea that I borrowed was from a channel called Mandel Man. And this guy come up with a clever idea of actually cutting miters using your CNC in a 90-degree V-bit. So I figured I'd give it a try here, and it worked out beautifully. Then the next cut I made was with a 1/8 inch down cut to cut out the dados that the bottom of the box will fit into, and I made the bottom of that out of 1/8 inch ply as well. I wanted the bottom of the box to match the wood of the box as much as possible, so I used the same veneer that I had attempted on the trays to stick onto the ply to make it match. Now, I'm fairly certain one of the main reasons why you guys watch this channel so you can witness the grace and sure-handedness that I possess when doing these projects. I bought this little gadget to hold the box together while the glue dried, and it worked out great. It's really inexpensive, and if anybody's interested, there's a link in the description of the video. You can buy one for yourself. There were two instances that I was an absolute nervous wreck cutting into this box, and this is one of them, cutting the slots for the splines to go in the miters. I wanted to make sure that I centered the diamond shape perfectly. So, a little time and patience, and I got it right. And I also mulled over the color of the wood that I was using in the splines, and I decided to just go with the same color sapelli, so try to hide them as much as possible. They still stand out a little bit once the finish is on them, but they match the wood nice. I thought it was better than a contrasting wood like a lighter wood or even a darker wood. I am very embarrassed to admit that I forgot to hit record on the camera when I was cutting the lid out of the box. It was very simple. I just used a table saw and it turned out nice. Now when it comes down to making the lid, I changed my mind about 11 times on how I was going to do it. At first I thought I was going to put a hardwood top in it, but then after seeing Blake Weber's video and the humidor that he made with the glass top, I thought that was just so beautiful, so I decided to do the same thing. But I wanted to take it a step further and put an engraving in the glass. So Mike, my bald-headed friend, let me borrow his diamond drag bits, but I don't know if I was using them wrong, but they just didn't work out because they actually stopped engraving about halfway through the operations. So I gave up on that idea. Now, not one to accept defeat, I decided to try it again, but this time using a laser. Now, because I bug Mike all the time for using his, I decided it was time to buy my own, so I bought this one. And it worked great. It engraved the glass beautifully. But later on that day, when I was doing some other stuff, the laser just died. So back to Amazon it went. And then I cut out some strips of wood and mitered the ends of it to use as a pane on the interior of the lid to hold the glass plate in. And this is the beginnings of my second nervous breakdown when cutting into this box. Here I'm cutting out a template as a guide to route out the pockets that the hinges will go into. I had quite literally never done any precise stuff with a router before, a hand router, and I sincerely sat and stared at this for about 20 minutes, psyching myself up before I cut into this box. But I am pleased to announce, as you will soon see, that it turned out perfect. Another thing that I learned by watching Blake Weber's video is that I had to put a chamfer on the rear of the box and the lid to allow it to open. So that's what I'm doing here. I just cut a 45-degree chamfer in the back. And when I did the same on the lid, I installed the glass pane in it temporarily just to keep the lid square while I cut. One can never have too many clamps. Now that the rest of the box was finished, it was time to revisit the tray problem. Since I didn't like the ply, I figured I would make the trays out of black limba this time, which meant I had to learn how to make thin 1/8" panels out of hardwood, which I am pleased to announce worked out pretty good. I grabbed some black limba, run back to Jeremy's house, resawed it down, made the panels, and they turned out really, really nice. So Now I needed a laser again to cut it out, but since the other one gave up on me and I didn't want to bug Mike, well, I did a thing. This is a JTech offering as an add-on to the Onefinity series of CNC machines. This is the monstrous 44 watt laser. And guys, I'm telling you, this thing is bad to the bone. The other laser that I bought was 36 watt. This is 44, and this blows that laser out of the water. It is just so well made, and just the cut quality and everything is light years better than the other laser that I bought. I'm glad it failed, because now I have this thing, and it's going to be a very valuable tool in my arsenal. Now, I know that everybody hates sanding, but I hate it more than most, and this was such a tedious project, getting down into the crevices between the cuts of these diamonds. It took me a long time to get this done. Blake Weber actually created a little jig to put a sandpaper on, and I kind of wish I had done that too, but it worked out in the end. Now, when I finished the chest pieces, I actually sealed them with lacquer, and my first thought was that I was going to do the same thing with this box, that I would seal it with lacquer, but I actually did a test on it and the Rubios, and the wood popped so much better with the Rubios. And Rubios is my favorite anyway, so I went with that. Now, to store these chest pieces, I made two trays, one for the light pieces, one for the dark pieces. And I decided that the bottom tray would stay in the box permanently, and the top tray you would be able to pull it out. So I had to come up with a way, something elegant as handles to pull it out, and my girlfriend suggested hair ribbon. And I didn't want to attach it to the trays because it was so thin, and because the foam was such a tight fit in the box, this worked out really nice. There's enough resistance on it that the handles, the little ribbon handles, they don't pull out. Matter of fact, you see me struggling here to get them lined up because it's so tight. As of the making of this video, I have just south of 4,500 subscribers, and I'm absolutely shocked that many people want to watch me do what I do. I can't thank you all enough for watching, and the comments and the feedback that you give is just, there's no words. So thank you all, and doing this channel has pushed me into doing things like this. If it wasn't for YouTube, I'd still just be making cutting boards. It has pushed me outside my comfort zone, and I hope that it makes me a better woodworker, and I am able to produce more interesting things for you guys to watch. So just 1,000 thank yous to all of you. I'm really proud of this box. I'm proud of the chest pieces. I've made several chest boards, but this is the first time I've ever made chest pieces, and now even a box of any kind. So I'm really proud of how it turned out. You guys stick around. The third part of this series, and I'm going to make a chessboard to go along with the chess pieces in the box. So be looking for that. I hope to have it out soon. And again, thank you all so much for watching. Y'all take care.